Welcome to Dear Romance Writer, your home for the questionable advice for the bewildered and befuddled, random pop culture recommendations, and conversations about you feelings. Be sure to send in your letters seeking advice on our anonymous form at dearromancewriter.com.
Dear Romance Writer is part of the Frolic Podcast Network, a podcast community of everything romance and romance related. If you're into romance fiction of any flavor, the Frolic Podcast Network includes shows that feature book club style discussions, author interviews, comedy, critique, and fantastic conversations as well.
It includes some of the most innovative, interesting, and entertaining podcasts, including Kinda Dating, Crappy Friends, My Imaginary Friends, Smart Podcast Trashy Books, and Jeff and Will's Big Gay Fiction Podcast. What does this mean for you, the listener? More shows to enjoy and more opportunities for us to introduce you to great episodes and new podcasts you'll love. Find new shows to add to your podcast subscriptions at frolic.media/podcasts. Now on to this week's show.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Dear Romance Writer. We're really glad that you could join us again. We are recording this in the middle of July, and I don't know about you guys, but the weather has been like super weird. Like, did you get like chilly nights, really hot days, and then like that heat wave? I don't know. We're all on the East Coast, so it's been like really.
It's been 400 degrees here in Virginia.
My poor AC is cranking at night. Yeah. But yeah, so I like coming together and chilling out with you guys and reading through some of our letters. So we got a letter this week, and from Viola, who's reading the letter. Let's read the letter.
Oh, real quick before we do that, we should do intros.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm Zio Axelrod. Sorry.
I'm Avery Flynn.
And I'm Roan Parrish. And I will be reading our letter from Viola. Hello. I adore reading romance, and I've recently, over the last 2 years, got into writing romance. Now that lockdown is easing where I am, the UK, I've started dating again. I haven't done much dating in the past. I'm in my 20s, the lower end for context, and I've had one longer term relationship prior to now, so I've not had to do much dating per se. Romance novels and writing are huge chunks of my life, and I only see them getting more important as I eventually pursue publication in some form. But how should I bring romance novels and writing romance up on dating apps? How have you navigated this in the past? Currently, what I love to read and write is in my dating bio, and I've ended up talking about romance with people in DMs. I do wonder if I should just be totally forward and shove it in my bio. In a dream scenario, I'd say I write and read romance, and the person wouldn't assume anything in particular, would ask some questions, but also Google search when they got home. Pansexual plus reads writes romance equals sex crazed is a judgment that people, well, let's be honest, men have been making, and it's infuriating on many layers. At the same time, at least I know what type of person they are and can unmatch. I don't want to sleep with people who don't respect me. I want to treat this like any other hobby, like all the things I do and enjoy, but I'm having to give romance 101 courses. The thing that comes out of people's mouths. I feel like I need to come up with some kind of game plan because it's all new to romance and coming with a side of judgment, even when people do mean well. Any tips? Many thanks in advance for any help you can give me. I adore the show. Thanks, Viola.
Oh my God. Welcome to being a romance reader and or writer, because I think I can very easily say this has happened to y'all too. Very intrusive sex questions as a writer. Do you do everything that's in your books? You know, whether you do or not. Probably doesn't have. Oh yeah, I have gotten asked. Hey, can I help with research? I'm always available if you need research help.
I've gotten that one.
All sorts of creepy shit.
We are going to take a really quick break in this episode of Dear Romance Writer to let you know that this specific episode is brought to you by Kensington's newest title from Sheris Hodges, Open Your Heart. It is a bodyguard romance, romantic suspense. It is quick. It is fast-paced. I picked it up the other day while I was out grocery shopping because The other thing is this cover is super hot, so I'm just going to let you guys know it. The dude is giving very good face. So let me tell you a little bit about this one. For fashion boutique owner Yolanda Richardson, coming home is a matter of life and death. Witness to a brutal crime, she's terrified to put her family's B&B in the crosshairs after she starts receiving death threats. Her only refuge is the protection of her reserved hired bodyguard, Charles Morris. But Charles is anything but safe. His icy cool under fire and hidden intensity is too explosive for Yolanda to resist. For Charles, love always equals loss. He knows that hard equation all too well. Controlling his emotions keeps his clients from harm and his heart safe. Yolanda's beauty and headstrong spirit have him wanting her in all kinds of ways, but for her own protection, he has to do his best to keep her at arm's length until unexpected danger and lethal misunderstandings put their survival and any chance at a future together on the knife's edge. Oh yeah, you know that sounds good. You can find Open Your Heart by Sheris Hodges wherever books are sold, and you can find out more at kensingtonbooks.com.
So that's number one. And then there are the people that just think you're dumb.
Yeah.
So that's number two. But yeah, there are outside of our little
Romance
corner
Landia.
of Romance Landia.
And even in some corners of Romance Landia.
Yes, that is very true. That is very, very true. People forget boundaries and make really horrible assumptions. So there is baggage that comes with putting that out there. I'm just not even gonna lie.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of putting it in your bio because it weeds out
too.
all the idiots, so like if you don't want to like be like, hey, this person sounds really cool, and then you get on a date and you're having a good time and then you bring this up and they're like, and they say something like that's just a waste of your time. So like I feel like putting it in your bio is actually a good thing. I would,
I totally agree. The last time that I did online dating, every time I've done online dating, it's been an absolute misery. But the most recent time I did it was when I was living in New Orleans and I had just started publishing romance. And I did put it, I started out in my bio saying that I was a writer. And then people would ask, what do you write in like a message? And I would say romance. And based on those responses, I started putting it in my bio for exactly that reason, to weed out the idiots. I think that, like, obviously I am not a scientist, but I feel
but she's written them, so it's the same thing.
But I am a doctor. And I think that I can say with like 99.9% certainty that anyone who would be an asshole about you writing romance, even if then you went to all the trouble of educating them, would still be an asshole after that, even if they weren't being an asshole about that particular thing. And for that reason, I agree that there's like no reason not to put it in your bio, especially because I think this says your pan. Is that? Yeah. So like, I think that, as you said, that is going to be mainly an issue, like the creepy stuff will be mainly an issue with cis men. And the thinking that you're dumb probably could be an across the board issue, but again, like weed those people right out of the scenario.
Yeah, you're not missing anything by weeding those people out.
Well, and the dumb thing too could also quite possibly be a factor of the fact I live outside of DC, so people here have important jobs. Not that people don't have important jobs other places.
I don't think it is that. I mean, I also, like,
there's a snobby factor here.
There's a snob. I have a PhD and people are like, oh, do you write romance because it's easier? I'm like, yeah, it's definitely something really easy to do.
Yeah. You know what, I also want to bring out though, because Viola says that she feels like she's having to give romance 101 courses. I think as a citizen of Romancelandia, sometimes we are extra defensive because we're so used to being mocked.
Yeah.
So we may come into it with a defensive bias and not realize that sometimes people really are just
They're genuinely
asking.
curious.
They're genuinely. So like if you
Yeah.
had, I enjoy rock climbing, somebody trying to see, hey, is there a connection or starting to make a connection? That may be the one thing that they focus on and say, oh, tell me about rock climbing. I don't know anything about it. Can you do that around here? Do you have super crazy strong fingers? Are you not allowed to have fingernails because will they break off? What is the thing? Right. So it could also, with the Romance 101 part, be at least partially that it's people trying to engage you on something that you're obviously open to talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which doesn't mean that you have to like it or want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and I trust that you know the difference between someone who is genuinely just like a little bit awkwardly looking for something to talk about, which I agree is completely reasonable, and the people who are like asking questions with the huge scare quotes around them, which are meant to imply that you're an idiot. I trust that you know the difference, and if someone is going to do that, then like, don't fuck them.
Don't fuck them.
But absolutely. And I would, if it were me, I would actually say something in my bio that's like purposefully putting off the people who would come into you, saying shit about romance. Like I don't know how I would say it, but I would write a bio that made it clear that like I'm not going to take any ridiculousness from you because I write romance. So if this is you, I'm not the swipe. Like don't even like bother clicking on my, you know what I mean? So
and if it was only that you were reading romance, I think like that is super reasonable anyway. But the fact that you're also writing romance and that you're planning on publishing, like I think that most of us, after we've been doing this for like a couple years, we don't even remember that what we're writing is romance anymore. I mean, obviously we do when we're writing it, but like it's a business and it's about craft. And it's like if you were to overhear a conversation of a bunch of authors who happen to write romance talking to one another about their like what their day is like or blah blah blah, what you would hear is a conversation about the publishing industry, about contracts, about schedules, about dedication, about craft, about work-life balance, like all these things.
You know what? I will agree with you, but I have to interrupt just because there are things that are unique to art. Like I posted a thread on Twitter today because I found out that kangaroos' penises were actually behind their scrotum. And I was like, this is something that Shifter Romancelandia needs to know about in case you don't, because this we could factor in, right? Sure. So there are unique things, but it's all a business. I agree.
But my point is that like, if what people are focusing on is the micro titillation of the fact that the thing that you are like passionate about and spending all your time doing happens to have sex in it or happens to be about love, they're missing like the 98% of it that is about all these other things that like would be the same if you were writing sci-fi or nonfiction
or mystery or whatever,
whatever. And like that, okay, maybe on the first date or the first couple dates or whatever, but like if this is going to be your life and it's going to be something that you continue to do, especially as a writer, I can tell you right now, it gets old extremely fast to have the thing that you spend a lot of time thinking about, not just the work itself, but also like educating yourself about business, educating yourself about contract negotiation, like all these, I'm picking purposely dry things because those are half of what it will get old very fast to have like to come home at the end of your day and have spent like 6 hours writing and negotiating a contract and finding out that your foreign rights fell through and all this stuff that's like part of your job, and having a person be like, haha, boobs, like get the fuck right out of here. And if you can take care of that from the very beginning by putting it in
the
your
earlier
bio,
the better. Like you never even have to know that they exist because they see that in your bio and they just move on. Like it will never affect you. You're not going to miss the love of your life because so
Yep.
Oh, and so I guess our advice then is put it in your bio.
Keep it in your bio.
Put it in your bio and use it as a what's the word I'm looking for? You're using it as not offense.
Filter.
Thank you.
Filter.
Oh my God, offense. That's where my brain has gone today. You're using it as a fence. You're keeping the assholes out. Plus, you never know even if you don't end up with somebody who is a romantic partner, that would be awesome to find book friends that way. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's the thing about putting it in your bio as a hobby, like you say in the letter, you just want to treat it like any other hobby, is then you're going to attract either people who are like, cool, this person I might go out on a date with has a hobby just like I do. Or you'll attract like cool bookish friends, or you'll go out on a date with someone, realize that you both love romance, don't have any chemistry yourselves, but like it can be a cute thing. Like we tried to have romance and it failed, but now we're romance reading buddies or whatever.
Or we're co-authors and we've had,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, the scuzzy stuff will still come forward anyway, but you're online dating. You're going to get that anyway. I mean, welcome. Yay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, shit. All right.
Basically,
well,
don't sleep with the people who disrespect you.
Seriously.
Yes. And isn't it the great John Waters quote that is, if you go home with somebody and they don't have books, don't fuck them. So again, same thing. We agree. All right. So we have for our What Would You Do segment, a very clickbaity headline that immediately grabbed my attention because I'm a 12-year-old. And it is the headline is how to tell my mom her boyfriend asked me to have his baby. I, 24-year-old female, live with my mom, 47-year-old female, and her boyfriend, 54-year-old male, my sister and my son and roommate. All the adults pay rent, so I'm technically a tenant. Me and my mom's boyfriend have a cool relationship. My mom is absolutely a narcissist, and the other day was a really bad day with her. So her boyfriend came up to me and was like, want to sneak out and go drink later? So I was like, yeah, absolutely. I've known him for 5 years and consider him like an uncle figure. We went out and drank, and he kept pushing me to drink. When it comes to drinking, I have a very weak stomach, so I can't drink much. 2 pina coladas and I'm drunk. So I'm on our way back home, and he's asked me, so don't you want more kids? I'm a teen mom. I had my son at 15 and pregnancy was absolute hell. So I've sworn off any more kids. And I told him no. Then he said, well, I want more kids, and started making advances on me about having his baby. Quote, oh, you won't have to pay rent. You can follow your dreams. I'll take care of the baby. You won't have to buy anything for it, etc., etc. I kept telling him no, and he wouldn't back off. He kept saying, quote, we can go to a hotel right now. We can go to your room when I come back. And then he started touching me. Not like anywhere private, but he was squeezing my upper thigh and holding my hand. We left at 9 and came back around 12. When we got back, I immediately went to my room and called my friend's husband. Our friend group isn't weird about that stuff. If we need something, we can call the person, significant other. So my friend and her husband came to pick me up an hour away at 1:30 in the morning. I was able to sneak out with my son and some clothes for a couple of days. When my mom called and asked where I was, I told her my friend had a family emergency and needed me. This happened Friday night going into Saturday. I don't know if I was sexually assaulted or if he just crossed a boundary. I'm afraid to tell my mom because I know she's going to make it about her and probably not believe me. She has a history of always putting men before me and my sister. I don't want to go back, but I don't know where to go because I don't have anywhere to go. I need help, please. How do I tell her? So that goes from like a crazy clickbaity headline to something quite frankly heartbreaking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really, 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 really glad she left when she did.
Yeah.
Because
trust your gut. Trust your gut. It tells you go.
Because he could have in the morning, or she could have woken up in the morning to, I heard you tried to, seduce my husband, or I heard you, or my boyfriend, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it would have been a really ugly situation off the bat. So I'm glad that she got out. Her mom, I know so many people like this woman. Her mom, I don't know what the relationship is between her and her mom. She talks about the relationship between her and her boyfriend, her mom's boyfriend. She talks about the relationship between her and her friend's SO. but she doesn't talk much about the relationship between her and her mom, except that her mom is a narcissist and makes everything about her, which tells me that it's not great. So I don't know if there's a way to say anything to her that's not going to turn into an incident. You know, I just don't, she doesn't sound like she's open to the truth. So I don't know how you do, but the problem here is that she has nowhere to go. Obviously she can't stay with her friends indefinitely. So she's got to say something, but I don't even know, like, what do you say in that situation?
Yeah, I'm with you. And my experience with narcissists is that she won't believe you, or even if she believes you deep down, she won't act like she believes you. She will make it all about herself, and you will become the villain. But also probably it'd be great for her to know that this happened so she can make her own choices.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, to answer the first question, which purportedly is the actual question of like, how do I tell my mom, is I would write down exactly what happened and I would email it to her. And that way you don't have to have a conversation where she can interrupt you before you finish everything that happens. She has a record of what happened, so that if when she first reads it, she's not able to deal with it for whatever reasons, she can then later, if there are like things about the relationship that she wonders about, she has it, she can go back to it, so that you've like done everything you can to protect her, and telling her the truth. But I feel like there's no way that it's going to be like a good conversation, or it's going to go well. I would in fact actually like, don't even have that be your goal, because it's not going to happen, not with a narcissist. And yeah, so to me, the real question is, I agree with Zio, like, where to go. And it's so infuriating to me, like, forever and ever amen, that these fucking asshole men sexually assault and proposition their stepdaughters, and then it's the stepdaughter who doesn't have a place to go, and he has no consequences whatsoever, and gets to continue like living his life as if he didn't just slide his hand up to the upper thigh of his fucking daughter and ask if she wants him to impregnate her in a hotel room. That is so outrageous. I mean, it's up to you if you decide that that counted as sexual. Like, I don't think it matters necessarily.
Right.
Only you get to decide if that's what that feels like to you. But what you've described is someone capitalizing on the mental health problems of their own partner and the way that they make you feel vulnerable and overwhelmed to get you to go out with him alone.
Premeditated.
Yeah, that's what's sticking out to me. This was planned. He tried to make her vulnerable.
Yeah, he took every
more vulnerable
defense or support system away from you in a moment when you were already vulnerable because of the personality disorder of another person who you should be able to depend on. And then once you were drunk, he touched you without your consent, even though you tried to move away from him and said no over and over and over, and used sexually explicit language asking you to have sex with him and have his baby. Like, any way you slice it, that's fucking horrible. And the idea that you're now the one who has to leave and take care of it is so unfair and so infuriating, and I'm really sorry. And you gotta find somewhere else to live.
Yeah.
To quote the great Whoopi Goldberg,
also kudos
you're
to
in
the
danger,
friends.
girl.
Yeah.
You're in danger, girl.
Kudos to her friends, though, who drove an hour to pick her up in the middle of the night. Like, those are some good friends. So.
Those are some great friends. I think, yes, I think we both kind of came down to it. I agree. I like the emailing letter form of communication with somebody, especially when you know that that person is not going to, whether they're a narcissist or not, you're in a situation where the person is not going to hear you. There are a lot of instances, even when it's a parent who is not a narcissist, who is going to value their relationship with another adult, with their partner, over the basic needs of the other people in their family. I'm not saying that, your relationship with your spouse or your partner should not, in a hierarchy level, outrage, other relationships. But when you are willing to have a relationship that is more important than the basic human value of another human being, that's an issue. And unfortunately that happens. Sometimes it happens because people are in a situation where, you know, Bob pays half the rent. And if Bob didn't pay half the rent, I couldn't live here. None of us could live here, you know, or the groceries or whatever it is. You know, there are circumstances. But with this one, he has gone to the point where he knows you're lightweight, took you out and got you drunk anyway, waited until you were drunk to proposition you when you were away from home. I'm assuming you guys drove together. So you had little recourse to get back to a safe zone. All of that. So this is,
it could have gone such a totally different way. That whole situation could have gone a totally different way.
A totally different way.
As I was reading, I was like, please, 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 please don't let this go where I think this is going.
So you are, this is somebody who went predatory.
Yeah, it's a predator.
Quite frankly. So this is not a safe spot for you anymore. If you cannot afford another place, if you cannot stay with friends for like a week or whatever it is that it takes you to find a place, you know, depending on what your thing is, strongly suggest you look into women's shelters. A lot of times people look at a women's shelter and they think it is only for victims of domestic violence. That is often who they have, but it's not only who they have. So look at some of the women's shelters, at least reach out, even if it says domestic violence shelter, reach out, let them know your situation, things like that. Because a lot of times with those shelters, goal is to not just give you a temporary safety spot, but also to move you, help you get on your feet.
Yeah, it's resource. It's a
resource.
Yeah.
So this would be a good option. If
especially
there is something
child.
like that in your area.
She says she has a child. It's just her kid is like
so she's got like a
9-year-old, 8 and 9-year-old.
I was somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Like this person has made your domestic space unsafe for you. And I also think
100%.
Like, you say that it's that a friend, like a roommate and your sister, right, are also there.
Yeah.
So like you said no to him. Where's he going to turn next?
Yeah.
Get your sister, get that other roommate, tell them what happened because they should know for their own safety. And then the three of you should leave and you should get a place together because three of you could afford a place.
Fingers crossed.
Easier than just you on your own. And that is something that like, it's, like this man is predatory and is looking for something like that. And if he asked you, I even think there's actually a good chance he already asked the roommate, because if he's going to his stepdaughter, like if that's his first choice, I'm just, you know, I think like.
I also wonder if the sister's underage because she says something about all the adults paying rent and her being, she's 24. This whole situation is a nightmare.
Yeah, and let's see. Okay, so she's known him for 5 years. So I'm going to assume that that's how long he's been dating the mom.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this is not like a new occurrence. You know what I mean? To where, okay, they've only been dating for 6 months and he's just this weird loser guy and all that stuff.
She said she thinks it was an uncle.
He knows her. Yeah. Yeah. No. Ew. Yeah.
If like that is someone who's really crossing a line on what your previous relationship dynamic has been.
Yeah.
Like I think that if this guy had been super creepy in the past, she would have said something about that. Like he's always been a little creepy, but it never quite crossed the line. And the fact that she doesn't say that and that she says she thinks of him as an uncle, like it could be that some behaviors are just now coming into focus as what they really were and have been contextualized. But it also could be like this incident, like this thing wanting a baby is the thing that he's willing to cross the line for. And if he's willing
do we actually believe that though? Well, I mean, I don't believe that. I think he's just trying to bang her.
The interesting thing is that, like Rowan said, she doesn't mention any previous behavior like this. And she also says something about her mom being unbearable that day. And everyone's sort of like, they're bonding over their, you know, they're fed up with her. And so he's transferring. He's like transferring. There's a lot of transference going on here. Like, well, your mom is impossible, but you know, you're older now, whatever. I mean, whatever it is, but it's just an ugly situation. It's just an ugly situation. So
this is not good. But again, you know, and we've talked about it before. Here is somebody who is just trying to, she is worried about, and yes, survival. I understand this, finding a place to live, right?
Mhm,
But it's
mhm.
not about finding a new place to live. It's telling her mom so that she can stay in her current environment, which does not sound healthy.
Because her mom's
So,
always not going to choose her
right.
over
So
him.
she is still making excuses for a lot of people in this situation and trying to work out a way to make it acceptable, as opposed to taking a step back and saying, this is not an acceptable situation. I have to figure out a way out of it. And I think that's really hard because we love to make excuses for people in our life for their bad behavior. And if she sees this, or did see this person as more of an uncle or my mom's boyfriend, she'd be like, well, it's Bob. So I got to make an excuse for Bob. He didn't really mean it.
And I think that growing
Yeah.
up with a narcissistic mother, I'm not surprised that this is
She
someone
puts everybody else first.
well, someone who's very used to having to rewrite reality in order to make it palatable for
Yeah.
people. And it's easy to then do that for yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that, yeah, this is like, there's no, whether this guy actually wants a baby or just wanted to bang her, who knows? I don't really care. But I think like, if he would proposition you, he will proposition your sister and your roommate. And if your mom is beyond being reached, then that's fine and she can make her own choices. But I would have the three of you move out, find a place, get the fuck away from this guy, because that's so nasty.
I mean, she said something about her mom always putting men before her, which tells me that maybe not this particular situation hasn't happened before, but she's definitely,
yeah.
Yeah,
it's happened before. And I love how you put that, Rowan, the rewriting reality to make it more palatable. I think that is something that is incredibly, it's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. And if you grow up with somebody who's manipulative, let alone a narcissist, then your boundaries don't matter. So
well, if you're in survival mode, you do whatever it takes to survive.
Yeah.
If you don't have a choice of where to live or whatever, then you do what you so
definitely. And if you don't have a choice, like if there's no way that you can safely leave and go to a shelter or move out with your housemates, I would say like, then know that that's your goal. Stay here for as long as you the least amount of time that you absolutely need to save up enough money that you can leave. And I would definitely still tell your sister and your
yeah, absolutely.
So make a plan, right? Make a plan, and have something, so that way when you are kind of caught in the moment, it's not as deer in the headlights an event, hopefully. Oh my goodness.
And then kill him again.
Oh my goodness. What a thing. Boy, that's super cheery, huh? And it sounded like such a fun headline. It completely sucked me in. And then I read it and I went, oh my God.
It was a Jerry Springer headline with a real life.
Yeah.
With a
sadness.
CNN ending. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So I will take a look at what I have on the playlist, which was inspired by Viola. The playlist has Every Day I Write the Book from Elvis Costello.
Oh.
Paperback Writer from the Beatles, Screenwriter's Blues from Soul Coughing. There's some Vampire Weekend on there. So I tried to have a little fun with it. So Viola, check out the playlist and maybe you can use it to write too. You can be like a little writing playlist for you there.
I love that.
A personalized list.
A personalized list. Yeah.
I love that. Well, speaking of personalized things, today's recommendation or today's recipe is directly for our very own Avery Flynn, whose garden is producing a lot of cucumbers. And
yes, tons.
Others of you may also be in this same predicament. I love a cucumber. I love a cucumber recipe. And so I'm going to just like shoot you a couple ideas for what to do with that ton of cucumbers. So number one is pickles. People
I love pickles.
as kind of a big deal, but it really doesn't have to be. You can do a quick pickle that you don't even like, you don't have to do a canning bath or seal the cans so that they can be shelf stable. You can just do them, like put them in your fridge and they're totally fine. So you can just use any kind of a vinegar. You can even vinegar, like if you had a jar of pickles in the refrigerator and you ate the last pickle, you can save your pickle juice and just put cucumbers in it and
Really?
absolutely 100%.
Yep.
I love this.
Yeah, it's a no waste, no spend hack for you. And I love it. You can also put other stuff in there. I love to pickle carrot sticks in pickle liquid. They're so good.
Yeah.
You can pickle green beans in pickling liquid, and then you have dilly beans for a Bloody Mary or Bloody Maria. That's how they serve them in New Orleans, is with dilly beans, and I love them so much. And you can also add, so like say you ate your jar of pickles, you ate the last pickle, and you have like half a jar of pickling liquid left, or like not quite enough, right? You can add a little water and vinegar, you can add a little sugar, you can add whatever spices you want, some garlic. Like the things that you put in your pickling liquid is the flavors of your pickle that you'll get. If you want to do like a quick pickle that you can use on sandwiches, you can slice your cucumbers into slices and just pop the slices directly into the pickling liquid. If you want to do spears, you cut them that way. Or if you like little cucumbers, you know, like little guys, you can just pop them completely into the pickling mix that way.
Yeah. I've reused, I had when we went up to Vermont, there's a distillery up there that makes bourbon pickles and rum pickles and stuff like that. And so the spicy bourbon pickle liquid is when it was done, I was like, I wonder if I could just toss some stuff in there. And I did. And it was so good. So I'm all about reusing the pickling juice.
Such a good idea.
I love that.
Yeah, you could add just some bourbon to your, you can add, like, if you have a little bit of white wine at the end of the night and you want to like switch to red or something and you don't want to just guzzle it straight from the bottle because you have company, you can pop that in your pickling liquid.
If you're pretending to be classy, I got you.
You know,
Mr. X makes a pickle with no vinegar. Like it's a Russian recipe. It's just salt and dill, and there's like a boiling process, but it's really quick and stuff. I have to get it from him, but yeah, it's really, because he doesn't like vinegar. He doesn't like anything that has vinegar in it. So yeah.
Pickles are such a great thing for summer too, because it's like you don't have to do a whole batch processing situation like you would with jam making or anything. You can just, like, if you have 4 cucumbers that need to come out of the garden, you can just make those into a jar of pickles, pop them in your fridge, and then you're done. That's all. Don't even need to do anything.
Now, how long do they stay though if you do that?
How long do they stay good?
Yeah.
In the fridge? A while.
So we're talking like they could be hanging around like a month?
Oh yeah.
I could have a month.
I think it depends on the process. I think vinegar probably adds shelf life.
Yeah.
I know that the salt pickles that he does, they last maybe a month. You can tell. I mean, you can tell when they start to turn, but yeah.
Don't kill me. I'm too precious to be killed from food poisoning.
No, of course not. So what you'll want to do is you want to pop those pickles into the pickling. Like say you're using the pickle juice already, pop the cucumbers in and then like leave it on for like 24 hours or something. And then you can taste one. And if they're ready to use, you can start using them just like regular pickles that you would use. Or if you want them to pickle longer, you can just leave them in the fridge unopened. But yeah, they'll get more pickled as you go. And the second that you, they won't go bad. They might get a little mushy.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a jar of pickles in your fridge. They're there for basically ever.
Yeah.
And if something smells bad, don't eat it, but you're not going to get food poisoning.
No, you won't. Yeah. It'll just look or have like a mealy texture.
Yeah. I am on board with all of this. I shall be making pickles. I will report back to the class.
Yes.
All the pickles.
A couple other things. We were talking before about cucumber salads. These are like an amazing, way to use up, cucumber salad. I keep saying pickles. Cucumber salad. There are tons of recipes out there. But anything with a little olive oil, vinegar, salt, pepper, some garlic, fresh herbs is going to be delicious. You can also make a tzatziki sauce.
I love that.
And tzatziki sauce is so good on any sandwich. It's so good on like if you like blini or potatoes or anything like that, you can
Mhm.
use it. You can mix it into potato salad and use it instead of mayonnaise if you don't like mayonnaise. And tzatziki is so easy, and you just grate your cucumber on the smaller side of a box grater, mix the pulped cucumber in with Greek yogurt, a little squeeze of lemon, some salt and pepper, and you're good to go. Then you can add any fresh herbs you want, dill.
All right,
Sesame.
I have coconut Greek yogurt in my fridge right now. I
Oh,
might mix those two and just see what happens.
Yeah,
I will
do it.
report back to the class.
do it.
It's just experimenting with cucumbers now.
Absolutely. Well, and the other thing that I love to do is use a thing that people apparently use to take the skin off things. What do you call it? Peeler thing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who would waste their time doing such things. But if
Me.
you okay. If you like a
Oops.
spicy, like a cold sesame noodle is one of my favorite things to eat in the summer, is like rice noodles or soba noodles, and you do a quick boil and then add some sesame oil, chili, whatever, scallions, and you have like a nice sesame noodle.
Yeah.
If you take your peeler and peel your cucumber part into ribbons, not the seeds, but the meat,
Yeah.
you can mix those like they're noodles in with the noodles of your
Oh,
meat,
that sounds
your
like such a
sesame.
good
I do that with
lunch.
zucchini. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
you can
good.
do with zucchini, you can do with carrots, but
Mhm.
cucumbers work great because they're so crispy. It adds like a really great crisp to your dish, and you can just do the noodles like while the rest of the meal is cooking. It bulks it up, adds some veggies, and gives it like a really nice fresh summery feel.
Thank you. I'll let you know what my garden produces in
You're so
overabundance next. I'll warn you now that it looks like I'm gonna have a bumper crop of butternut squash.
Ooh,
So
Yum.
I'm really excited about that.
I love it so
No
much.
one else
I
in my
will-
house is.
Oh, well, I will charm them with my favorite butternut squash ravioli recipe when the time is right.
Oh, there you go. I love it. I'm charmed already. I'm charmed already.
Charming.
Charming. I was also charmed. And unlike last time, I will be giving a pro recommendation as opposed to an unrecommendation. So Pippa Grant writes a lot of sports romance, a lot of like rom-com erotica, sort of very, very sexy rom-coms basically is what she writes. And I fell into her The Girl Band series, which is actually several years old. I think the first one came out in 2018. The first one is called Mr. McCarty. And I was working out, listening to it, laughing my ass off. Like I'm in the gym all by myself, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Wah!" I mean, it was loud. It was unable to stop myself. And so I basically went and binge bought the whole series and just went ahead and got them on audio so I could go back and forth between the two. So no matter what I could do, what I was doing, but they're really fun. She has such a fun voice. It was exactly what I needed to read, basically. I laughed. They are so hot. And I think sometimes if you enjoy steamier books, more erotic books, they tend to be darker and more angsty. And maybe it's just my history. I mean, a lot of times when I want something really sexy, I end up getting something that's BDSM related, and that's awesome. I enjoy those books, but to be able to have my love of rom-coms mixed in with the good smut, I'm totally in love with. So I'm highly recommending. I'm reading the third book in the series right now. It's called Rockaway Bride, and she is accidentally kidnapped by a rock star, sort of went on her own, but she's also a runaway bride at the time. And they're on their way traipsing through Europe, and she just got a tattoo. And it's really fun. Highly recommended. So Pip Grant, Girl in the Band, or the Girl Band series.
Cool.
Yeah.
I guess I have a book recommendation too. I had to look up the series because I didn't know what the series was called. I read the first book in the series a while back, The Endgame from Riley Hart. And I think
she's so good.
by the time, yeah, she is. By the time this airs, the second book will be out. It's called The End Zone, but she sent me an arc, and I blew through
We
it.
don't like you anymore.
I blew through it, like seriously blew through it. But it is about the Atlanta. It's a football team, the Atlanta Lightning. So there's NFL in there if you like that. The first one was a U.S. senator and a member of the Atlanta Lightning who was in the closet. The second one, The End Zone, is I love the like best friend thing. So like it's the best friends of these two, the two from the first. One is out and proud and gay, and the other one has never really explored his sexuality before. He's demi-romantic, and so he's never been in love, and he's got these feelings for this guy, and he doesn't understand like why he has feelings for a guy, and also he's never felt this way about anyone before. So he discovers all these things about the spectrum of romance and sexuality, and it's so beautifully done. She's such a good writer in terms of like, it's hot and funny, but there's so much emotion and heart in it, and that's what I really love about her writing. I've been reading her for years, and I feel like she gets better with every book, and she really like hit the nail on the head with the end game, and she just continues it with The End Zone. So I think this series is probably my favorite of hers. So yeah, it's The End Zone by Riley Hart. Yeah, she's so good.
She's very good.
Yeah.
Well, I will be the illiterate one who recommends a TV show this week. My recommendation is, I've been cleaning a lot lately. It's very surprising. And I started.
Will you come to my house?
Oh my gosh! I mean,
my house is gross right now.
I'm not really good at it, but I'm trying. Right. And I started watching this because I like wanted something to clean to, and my girlfriend was like, oh, I started watching the show and it's really funny, you should check it out. So I started watching it, and then like quickly I was like, well, I can't possibly be distracted while I watch this and while I clean, and because it's so good. And that show is called Shrill. It's on Netflix. Have you seen it, Avery?
I have not seen it, but I've heard so many good things about it.
Y'all,
it's on my list.
So good. It is. Okay, so our main character is a fat woman who is deep in like a very not great sexual relationship with a man who does not treat her well. And the first episode, I was kind of watching with my fingers like tensed, because I was like, please don't let this be another show where like I get excited because it's got a fat main character and then it ends up just being kind of like the entire show bashing her the entire time. Because I've been burned before, but it's not. It's like a really beautiful, very nuanced look at her journey as a character, part of which is refusing to take less than she deserves, because as she always has, because as a fat person, that's like what she's been taught. And she really has amazing character, like it's amazing character growth in all areas for her, like professional, creative, relationships, self-love, friendships, whatever. Her best friend and housemate is a queer Black woman from the UK who has her own journey and story with romance and love and sex and work and everything. And the two of them have like something that I feel like we don't see very often on a show that I really enjoyed, is like the two of them have a beautiful, loving, supportive friendship. And also there are moments when our main character, who's white, like fucks up, and her friend is like, I can't support you on this because you fucked up, and like there's nothing I can do about it. Deal with your shit and get back to me, which I think is so
refreshing.
And there's one episode with a pool party that's specifically for fat bodies that is one of the most beautiful, joyful episodes of TV that I've ever seen. It is about a pool party that a friend of a friend throws that's like for fat babes who want to come and hang out. And our main character like shows up in jeans because she's nervous and has to go to a work thing afterwards. And basically is just like so overwhelmed by the love and support and joy that she sees around her that it changes her whole life. And I just like, I have one episode left. It's 3 seasons. I have one episode left, and I've had one episode left for days and days because I refuse to watch the last one.
That's the best shows. Those are the best.
It's really like it's great. It has a trans character. It has like some interesting weirdos. Anyway, I'll stop.
I love that.
Sounds fantastic.
Interesting weirdos. Didn't she just? It's Adie Bryant, right? Is it Adie?
Is it
Addie?
Adie Bryant from SNL.
Yeah. She just got nominated for an Emmy.
He did
for the show.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
The Emmy noms are incredibly representative. Like just historical this, historical that. Like, oh my gosh.
Can somebody explain Don Cheadle to me? He was like
he's Don Cheadle.
Soldier. I know. I love it. But I saw the funniest tweet from him, and it was like, it was basically like, thanks for the love, screw the haters, and I don't know either. It was so funny.
I started following him during the last administration. He is just a joy. Nice. He just does not, he has zero fucks to give. But yeah, but like was it Lovecraft Country that got like 28 or something crazy nominations?
I'm so mad that show didn't get renewed.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but we can do it for 30 seconds. But like, did anybody else notice that, how last year, all of these shows that have been around for a bit, or like properties that have been around for a bit, sort of pivoted and did like these Black or African-American centered stories?
Yeah.
Fargo, Watchmen, Lovecraft Country, and Fargo, I don't know what's going on with that, but those two got canceled after that one season. And I'm like, coincidence? Or, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm just saying, like, these are both like highly critically acclaimed, highly rated. Everybody's watching them, everybody's talking about them, and then all of a sudden there's no room for a second season. It's just
bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, I hope Lovecraft Country, second season, ends up finding another home. I don't know what their contractual agreements via the world are, how that works with TV, but God, I would love that. The show was so good. It was so unique. So good. It was so well written and acted, and oh my God.
I feel like the pandemic is being used by a lot of TV execs to cancel a lot of shows.
I totally
probably.
There are a lot of shows, like highly watched, highly rated shows that are just getting axed. And I think it's either like they don't want to spend the money on production or whatever it is. But yeah, it seems like
I think part of the pandemic is like people are willing to watch anything because they were stuck at home and they were watching everything. Mm-hmm. And so some of these streaming places, in addition to being like racist, homophobic, all the things, which they're also doing like a divestiture of anything that costs them money, because they're like, well, we can pump out super cheap content. Like people who go to dog shows, and our people won't eat it up because they're stuck at home and they've watched everything else. So why would we spend money to make quality content? And it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
Well, and it becomes the what they think will be a sure thing. Because if people have more options now, we're only going to go with what we assume will be a sure thing. Hello, publishing. So it works, much in a similar way, and you as an industry and as the reader or consumer or watcher end up losing out, because you lose some of the great quality that there is out there. It's annoying as fuck.
I wish they would just pause the things like, okay, you can't make a second season right now for whatever.
Yeah.
Just wait 2 years. And
it's like the European model, right? I mean, we've already gone from 24 episodes a season to 10 or 12 in some of the shows. Mm-hmm. Why not do the Luther thing or Sherlock, where they do a season when they can, when the actors are available,
and they end up with like 4 or 5 episodes. They're a little bit longer.
Yeah,
but
they're already doing it. They're doing it with these limited series. Queen's Gambit was one of those, they're doing it. They just don't want to, But it just seemed to me like they were using, because some shows like Manifest, which I've never watched a single second of, but if you have a show that's got that kind of ratings and that kind of critical acclaim get canceled and not picked up by another streaming service, that tells me that that's a production money, that's like a money thing,
Probably. Why can't we run the world? We would do a really good job at it.
Yeah.
We really would.
I think we do a really good job in certain sectors, and then there are others that there's some that I don't want to touch, like airplane emissions. I don't feel qualified.
Sanitation.
I love that you went to airplane emissions.
You're the first to hear it. I'll say it here first. I am not qualified.
But you know what, though? I will tell you this. Someone in Romancelandia is qualified for that and can run the shit out of it. So,
I mean, I'll tell you this for free. Trains are better and less polluting.
I would love if, you know what, we did that a million years ago when all three of my kids were very, very small and my husband got deployed. So we live right outside of DC. I'm originally from Western Nebraska. I had all three small children. My youngest was literally a very small baby. I think he was 6 months-ish. And we took the train all the way from DC out there. And I'm telling you right now, it was the most beautiful thing. We got on, we did our thing. We had one of those little robettes. The kids got to wander around. We walked the train. We did the thing. It was fabulous. Highly recommended. Anyone with small children.
Train travel is really undervalued in this country.
Totally. Anyway.
Wow, we have really gone all over the place today. This is what happens when we don't have a guest. We aren't we aren't kept to the garden path. Well, thank you for coming on this ramble version of Dear Romance Writer, where I still say that we can run the world with the exception of airplane emissions. And so we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Please do send in your letters, tell your friends, tell your mom to listen on in. And you can listen to us again wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as watch us on YouTube. And then you get to see our facial expressions as we say, this is bullshit. So there you go. Thanks, guys.
Thank
See you next time.
Thank you so much for subscribing to Dear Romance Writer. Remember to keep sending in those letters at dearromancewriter.com. We can't wait to tell you what to do. Dear Romance Writer is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love, frolic.media/podcasts.